Hey, this is Christian, and today I am looking at Hebrews 11, starting at verse 13. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. Full disclosure, I used to very much not like this scripture, specifically verse 13, because when I read it as all these heroes and giants of faith believed that God was going to do something for them, and then they died and they didn't get it, but it was okay because they had faith. And I was looking at like that going, that's not okay. Like, how is that okay? They just believed that God was going to do it, never got it, but whatever, they had faith. But as I look at this again, I realize they actually got exactly what they were hoping for. The Greek word faith here means somebody that can be relied on. Basically, they left this earth and the creator of the universe went, well done. They were people that God trusted. They were giants of the faith to us, but they were also giants of the faith to God himself. He looked at them and he said, good job. Well done. Those are words I'd like to hear from God one day. And it says the promises that they saw were afar off. Because it wasn't the fact that they didn't attain the promise, it was just the fact that they weren't done yet. God is generational. So what he started in Abraham, he then did in Isaac, and then he did it in Jacob. And it keeps going until today. He promised Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. He still has offspring that are doing great things in God's name till today. He promised David that there would be someone in your line through which salvation would come. That is still true today. Jesus is still saving lives even today. It wasn't the fact that their promises didn't come to pass. It was the fact that they weren't done yet. They had perspective to see the fact that their homeland wasn't here. And so they were focused on their promises and focused on their God, knowing that they were going to keep going forward. What they were doing, we were going to fulfill. What I'm doing, my kids are going to fulfill. The dreams that God has put in your heart, your kids and their kids and their kids and their kids are going to continue to fulfill because God is generational. He's not done yet. The promises are far off because they keep on going. As long as God is writing his story here on earth, that promise keeps going. It says in verse 14, come back. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. Their perspective was to keep looking ahead. Keep looking at the fact that they were going to go to God. Keep looking at the fact that this earth wasn't their end. Because if they look backwards, they would go backwards. If we keep looking at the things we should have done, the things we didn't do, the things my dad did, my mom did, my friend did, all the things that's happened to us, all the places we should have gone, all of the regrets that we've had into this place, you'll have the opportunity to want to go backwards. Or like a lot of people, you just stay where you are and stop moving forward. But they kept a heavenly perspective, knowing the fact that God was going to continue to work out those promises day in and day out until he returned, because that's what he said he would do. And they knew that his promises were true. Looking at verse 16, but as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. They kept a heavenly perspective and kept going forward towards the promises that God had given them. And God was proud to call them his. They actually left this earth and got to hear Daddy say, welcome home. What a blessing that is, to be able to one day go to our Father and him say, well done, welcome home.